Welcome to Bottom Up, a podcast where we explore the lowest moments in people's lives and the incredible stories of how they overcame them. Each episode, we'll hear from guests who have been through some of life's toughest challenges and have come out on the other side. From overcoming addiction and mental health struggles to surviving abuse and overcoming personal loss, we'll hear how they found the strength to keep going and turn their lives around. These stories of resilience, determination, and hope will inspire you to never give up, even in your darkest moments. So join us as we delve into the depths of the human experience and learn how to rise up from the bottom. Welcome to episode 9 of Bottom Up.
Thank you for inviting me.
No worries. And today, obviously, we have Xin-Feng, Mossy, or I call her IE.
IE, which means ant in Mandarin.
Yeah. And the reason that this episode is so special to both of us is because it's actually Pride Month.
June is Pride Month.
So
Yes.
Pride Month is
Happy Pride.
So Pride Month is a celebration of the LGBTQ, just awareness and the community and everything, right?
Correct.
But a little bit more about IE or Xin-Feng. She's from Oakland, which is where I grew up as well. She's a therapist, a court investigator, but besides her public, appearance, not public, but her job, she's also a breast cancer survivor, identified as a lesbian, and she's married with 2 kids. So anybody looking, she is married. She's taken.
Please.
It's gone. Your chance is over.
My life is so boring, Manav.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Of course, Manav, anything for you.
You came to the U.S., came from the U.S., and you're here with us, and we're having such a good time, and I'm so glad we got to sit down and do this. Like I said, right, like, being obviously part of, the gay community, the LGBTQ community, obviously the awareness for it is going much up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the modern generation, there are always perks. There are a lot of perks. It's so much more talked about. It's not suppressed anymore. But I do feel like there are also some negatives, right?
Of course, yeah.
How do you feel about the modern generation in terms of awareness, in terms of different sexualities?
I grew up in the 70s, and so I came out when I was in my mid-20s. So that was during the 90s. Now, about, I would say, 30 years, 25 years odd years have gone by. Obviously, there should be more awareness, right? More and more people are coming out. You see more and more queer folks in your community, around you, at work, within your family, right? In your schools. So therefore, when there is contact, the fear hopefully would subside, right? So in many ways, that's good, right? So more and more people see positive, gay role models around them, and they don't even have to be gay role models. They're just regular folks just around you. It makes people, the younger generation, feel that, wow, there is, my principal is gay, maybe that gives them more courage, there's visibility to know that there is someone there who is just like a regular person who's out, right? Living an out and proud life, that it gives them confidence and assurance that maybe they can have, a future as a queer person. So I think that way it's nice. The not so nice thing is, because more and more people are coming out, the conservatives see us wanting special rights. We don't want special rights. We just want equal rights. That's it. But for the conservative folks, they think of the equal rights that we're asking for is us asking for special rights. So that's the part that is not positive.
Yeah, 100%. Like what you want is just to be treated the same. Like, it doesn't matter who you love or who you are sexually attracted to. You are still a human being, like you said, right? principle anybody, right? But you were using a specific word. You were using queer. In Nepal, we use gay,
Gay.
lesbian, transgender. What does queer actually mean?
Queer is just an umbrella term, to include the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender questioning community.
Okay.
That's just an umbrella term. It's more inclusive. It's not, again, so micro. It's just an inclusive umbrella term. Yeah.
So that's what the Q stands for in LGBTQ, right? Queer.
No, the Q is
No.
questioning.
Oh.
Yeah, because there are a lot of youth questioning, right? Like, am I not? And that, rightly so, is something that everyone is entitled to, right? You don't just say, you wake up the next morning, hey, I think, I don't wake up the next morning and say, oh, I find my female classmate cute, I'm gay now. Because it's not like that. It's not so black and white. There's always a gray area. You question yourself, and then maybe you come out to yourself, and then you come out to your family, and then you come out at work. Being queer, it's almost as though you always have to come out. It's not a one-day thing, like, ooh, gender reveal party. Yeah, I'm having a boy, I'm having a girl. No, it's all the time. Even when I came out, my biggest concern was my family had to come out for me. So they're not queer, right? But they have a queer daughter. They have to come out for me. That really broke my heart, because I just felt like this is my life, and now my parents and my sisters, my siblings, have to take this on to come out to our relatives, to their, their coworkers and their friends. Whenever I visit, they also have to come out for me. So it's ongoing. And then when I have kids, I came out to the hospital staff. It's an ongoing thing. Every interview that I go to, I always have to ask myself, should I come out? Should I come out as a queer immigrant woman? Every job interview. Or do I not? So it's ongoing.
And I feel like, I don't know, but I feel like you shouldn't have to have that worry, right? The end goal is not to have that worry, right? Like, it shouldn't be a factor in anything. Should
Right.
it?
So when I do come out in my job interviews, I think it's not because I feel like I have to. It's because I want to. It's because it's a choice of mine that I want to come out. I want them to know that if they do end up hiring me, they're hiring a queer person. It's not because I feel like, oh, I have to confess. And no, it's not like that, because I live in San Francisco. It's super liberal, right? So I don't feel like I have to come out. When I want to come out, it's because I feel liberating. It's within the context. I feel like I have something to add to their the staff diversity. As a queer hire, as a person of color, as a woman of color. Yeah.
I mean, also going back to the LGBTQ thing, you said that Q is for questioning, right? Yeah. And I think that's true. Like, it's not black and white. It's a gray area. It's a blurry line. It's getting really confusing. And right now, there's even, like, more and more options. People are creating more and more options. I'll get on to that later.
Yeah, love who you love.
Yeah, but how do you, like, know what you identify as, Because it can be really confusing, because, like you said, if I wake up and I find, I don't know, some guy attractive, it doesn't mean I'm gay. Or if I'm even curious about, what's it like to be a woman, doesn't mean I'm transgender. It's not, like, flipping a switch. It's a phase, right? So how do you know what you identify as? Like, what was that like for you?
I think this is a question that's so personal. It depends on who you are. Some people, they wake up with this, or there's this awakening in them, and they want to keep exploring it, right? And some people, they have an awakening, and they shut it down because they refuse to even entertain the possibility that they're not straight, that they're not mainstream. So it's very so different, right? Like, Manav, if you wake up and you find someone in the gym, this guy is so attractive, sometimes you'd be like, oh, I wonder if, he's really cute. And I find him attractive, Some people are like, oh, no, hell no.
Like,
why would I like a man?
Yeah, exactly.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm into women. Some people just shut it down that minute, right?
Did that categorize as, like, being homophobic, like homophobia? Because you're scared of that, right?
You're scared of that, so that could be that you have internalized homophobia. Yes. That could be internalizing your, homophobia, so that could be. And some people will be like, well, I wonder what this is about. I wonder what this is about, you know? And the door is not completely shut. It's also not completely open. It's there. It's there, the door, you know, it could be shut, it could be open, it could be wide open. Some people are very self-reflective, you know? Some people are brave and they want to know what this is about. That's why I tell my kids, I said, whenever we go to Gay Pride, we go to, you know, Dyke March in the Bay Area.
What's Dyke March?
Dyke March is celebration of bisexual women, queer women. In San Francisco. It's quite a well-known event. And I remember telling my daughter, I said, Ayan, look at all these women. Look at all these women. I said, it's not a choice that they are gay, but it's certainly a choice that they decided to live an out and proud life. It takes so much courage for them to choose who they want to love. So people always say, oh, that's a choice. Oh, it's a choice. They choose to be gay, and then I don't know why they can't choose to be straight. It's not a choice that I'm queer, but it is absolutely a choice that I decided to come out of the closet. And I'm very proud of that choice.
That's another thing I want to ask you is like you said, some people open that door, some people take a peek, some people slam it, right? Well, I mean, in the 70s, we're not talking about like right now where it's easier. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's definitely much more easier. Back then, it was so closeted, it was so suppressed. What prevented you from shutting that door, slamming it, and being like, nope, not for me?
I would say my parents are very, very loving people. I knew from the get-go that if I were to be different, there's no way my parents would shun me. I knew that. So that gave me a lot of courage. But I wasn't ready to change my life 100% because I have peers that I have valuable relationships with. Because I feel like once you come out, you can't, it's not that you can't go back to the closet. I just don't think that would have been the path for me, you know. I believe in living very authentic and genuine life. So once I knew that I'm attracted to women, my classmates, my female teachers and all that, I knew that Singapore may not be the place I can live forever because, you know, Singapore is one of the, no matter what you know of Singapore as a very modern, democratic country, it is one of the most regressive and archaic countries in Asia. It will be the very, very last country in Asia, besides, unless you're a Muslim country, to have a gay pride parade. Vietnam would do it. Hong Kong has done it. Thailand.
What about Nepal?
Well,
what do you think? I mean, you've been here for a while.
No, I've been here for a few days. I do wonder. I feel like Nepali community with the Hinduism and Buddhism, it is a live and let live community. Singapore is increasingly getting more conservative in the way where there's a lot of very judgmental Christians, and then we have a government that really doesn't support its queer community. It's only last year, I think, that they decriminalized same-sex relationships.
Decriminalized.
Yeah, before it was still a crime. So that's way more regressive than other countries in Asia. You know, India has already done it for, been 4 years or so, I think. So I think I knew then that I cannot live in Singapore. And even my parents, after I came out to them, have told me, don't stay in Singapore. You know, you will wilt. Go live somewhere else. And which is why I came to the US for my undergrad and my graduate school. And then I stayed on.
I mean, you can correct me, right? I got that, but like recently the government is just beginning to talk about legalizing gay rights and stuff, right? And as a queer woman yourself, right, you must feel very, I mean, you decided to come to this country that is finally not legalized yet, right? It's not legalized yet, but they're only beginning to talk about it in the government. How do you feel walking around in this? Huh? They have legalized.
Oh, great. Yeah.
But yes, let's go.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, how does this make you feel? Like, it's almost like coming to Singapore. Like, is there like, I mean, like, you must be scared. Maybe not for you as much, but for your kids especially, right? I mean, like, was there any fear in coming to places like Nepal,
outside of
and
America.
you went to Singapore as well, right?
Right.
I mean, was there any fear for you during this like journey you go, not journey, but like holiday?
Well, one thing about being homophobic too, in a country like Singapore, is also there is this bubble, right? There is this blind spot where people are so unaware, so unaware. They're so not astute about the people in the community that I I don't have a lot of fear about my children's safety when I travel in Singapore, just because in general people are not out there being violent and all that. It's a very safe country. But I do know that there's a lot of misconception or no, there's not a lot of is that the word? We're not really embraced as a family because people don't see us as a queer family at all. There's just the awareness is so lacking that they don't see our family as a queer family at all. At all. One time, I'll tell you this. My partner, my wife of 19 years, was waiting for me with our two kids in the playground. And I went to say hi to her before I went off to some other place. And there's this couple in their 60s asked her, "Oh, the woman that left, is that your mother-in-law?" They thought that I was my partner's mother-in-law. That was the only way she can explain this relationship. You know, those two kids are my partner's kids, and I as a Chinese woman, and I'm the mother-in-law, which means my partner must have been married to, a Chinese man, and I'm the mother of the Chinese man. So we have never been asked about our relationship in Singapore. No one has ever struck a conversation. "Oh, cute kids, you guys. Oh, what a nice." Like in the U.S., we get that all the time.
Yeah.
Not here, not in Singapore. Like in
Did
the
you
U.S.
get it anywhere in Nepal?
No, and I don't expect that. I don't expect that because if it's not visible in your everyday life, why would you look out for that? Why would you look out for that, right? If you don't know, like for an example, I'll go a bit heavy. When I first came to the U.S., I was so naive when I was 23. I had no idea. What the word incest meant. No idea. I grew up in a very loving family. I had no friends that I knew went through that, or they didn't tell me that. And then when I found out that incest, that there are family members that would, sexually assault their children, or I started look at things differently. But before, if I didn't know that, I would not be looking at men like that. But now that I know I have that awareness, I now am more aware, astute about things like that. And I, as a social worker, not that I can predict or see, but my mind, that door has opened. I will be asking questions. I will be looking at relationship. Why is she talking to the father like that? Why is he acting towards her in not the fatherly way, but kind of in a creepy way? Like before I wouldn't. Why would I? Why would I if I didn't know it, right? Like if you didn't know gay people, why would you be looking for them? Yeah. So, but in the U.S. it's different. Like in the U.S., I went to my kid's school. She was about 6 or 5, and I was telling these parents, in the same school, I said, "Oh, my partner is waiting for me there." And this mother said, "Oh, your wife is over there?" So I said partner, she said wife, So it just, in the past, people used the word tolerant. "Oh, I'm tolerant of the gay community." I don't need you to tolerate me. I'm not an itch that you have to scratch, okay? And then next, they say to talk about acceptance, which is great. But I would rather people embrace the queer community.
What's the difference for you?
Acceptance just feels like, "Oh, I accept it. I accept it. I'm progressive. Why should I fight it? I will accept you." It's great. Acceptance is way better than tolerance. But I would think that embracement is a better word, which just says, "I welcome you. I welcome you.
Please come.
I welcome you into my
community." Instead of saying, like, in terms of a house, instead of saying, "Yes, you can come in," it's almost like, "Please come in," right?
Hey, you're welcome here. You're loved here.
Yeah.
I like the word embrace. Yeah, I do. I think it's more kind. It's kinder and more embracing. It's kinder, and it's just kinder. It's just more loving and kinder.
You almost feel, in terms of acceptance, you almost feel even more accepted.
Absolutely.
More
embrace
love.
is a much better,
exactly.
much better state, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
obviously though, right now though, with the LGBTQ community, they've added a plus as well, right?
Have
And
they? Oh my god, I'm
it's
so out of touch.
LGBTQ plus,
Plus,
right?
what's the plus for?
For anything else, questioning and
Okay.
others, right? I mean, I do think that yes, if you identify as something, then you're like being bi, being gay, being trans, right? Being a lesbian, it all falls under the category. But with social media now, people are actually taking advantage of this and using it to get attention. They're not saying I identify as like a gay person, because that is totally fine. But people are identifying as like pieces of broccoli and stuff right there. I mean, you have to draw the
Why
line
do
as
they make a joke out of it? It's almost they want to make light of something because it's mockery. It's mockery, I feel.
and I feel like like people, they just want this attention and they want this this spotlight, and they're actually just like, basically what I'm leading to here is, where do you draw the line between yes you are who you are and no you just want attention, like where do you draw this line? Because right now people are taking it out of control. I mean, like, what do you have to say about that, like as a
I'm not very much in the social media. I sometimes go to Twitter, and then what do they call it? The doom scrolling. They call it doom scrolling. It's like you can't stop and you're just like, oh, scrolling. You're just like, looking for more information, going down the rabbit hole. I'm not really on TikTok. I'm not on, any Instagram. I feel like people like that who take something that's so not serious, but it really impacts people's life.
Yeah.
Coming out. People commit suicide all the time, lose their jobs all the time, and then say, "Oh, so you identify as a queer person? Okay, then I want to be identified as a broccoli." It's kind of like a slap in the face about something that's
exactly.
so sensitive and so
Yeah.
impactful, right?
Yeah.
What do you say about that? I just feel like people like that will dissipate, right? Who's gonna take them seriously? Who with above average or average intelligence would take
But
these people seriously?
the problem with this, I find, is that yes, people are doing this for attention, but it undermines what you do.
Absolutely.
And now people are questioning what you do as well. They're like, well, I mean, like, there is a link. I mean, like, like, it's totally different.
Right,
It's,
but when people are doing that, do we really need to give them attention? Because it is kind of silly. I mean,
yeah,
it is
I
kind of
mean,
silly, and they're making. It's almost they're showing us who they are, right? I mean, do we need to give it
yeah,
importance and weight?
not really.
Just because it's on social media doesn't mean that it warrants anyone's attention. That's how I feel. Maybe I'm old. I'm just not on social media so much.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that's totally what you said. Is like, there is a fine, it's a blurry line, but there is still a line, and we need to draw that line quickly, because it's undermining people like you who go through the actual struggle of coming out and even having to move out of your home country because of this, right?
It's
I mean,
awful, yeah. It
do you
is.
think? I mean, this
I
is
lo-
like random question, but do you think you would have moved out of Singapore if you were straight?
If you had told me 25 years ago that I'm someone who would move away from my parents and my siblings, I think you're telling you're just you're being you're being stupid. You don't know how close I am to my family. It ultimately, I feel like there is a country that I love that did not and does not love me back. It did not and does not love me back. I think that I could have stayed back in Singapore, but I think my life would have been a much compromised one. I think that I would, I don't know if I could have children, because right now, if I look at my queer friends in Singapore, they have children from their previous heterosexual relationship. Then they broke up, then they're with the same sex person, and they brought along their family, their children. I do know of one couple now, about 8 years ago, they decided to have a child through IVF, which is great.
Having a child in a lab, so
Yeah.
you extract an egg from the woman, you extract sperm cells from, and
And then you
just
form an embryo.
form an
Yeah.
embryo in a lab.
So that's the only lesbian couple I know who has done that. I don't know of any gay men relationships in Singapore that have done that, where they have surrogate mother. I'm sure there are. I don't know of any. Okay, so when I was in my 20s, I wanted to be a mom. I don't think I could have done that in Singapore because it's just so much scrutiny for my children. It's too much. I can't. If I make the decision to have a kid, I want my kid to be
Happy.
raised
Happy.
in
safe,
an embracing community.
Secured, yeah.
Why do you think I moved to Oakland, where there's a vibrant queer community? I want my children to be embraced and not be scrutinized all the time because of my choice to live out, out as a lesbian, and to be married to a woman.
Like you said, it's already affected your family because also your family had to come out. You don't want it to affect your children either. It's like,
no way.
Plus, they're younger. They're so much younger, and for them to embrace that, it must be
no way. Even in the U.S., certain parts of the U.S., if you look at YouTube, sometimes I go to YouTube to look at some videos. It breaks my heart that this kids are saying, well, my best friend's mom told her to not hang out with me anymore because I have two moms in certain parts of the U.S.
That's ridiculous.
That isn't that heartbreaking? That's so
ridiculous.
Heartbreaking, So we purposefully chose to live in the Bay Area just because it's so, LGBT friendly. Yeah.
I mean, right, you moved out of your country, like once you came out to your parents and they were telling you to go away for your own safety,
yes,
right?
my own happiness. Yeah.
I mean, can you break down the experience of coming out to yourself? Because you did tell me before that we recorded that coming out is not just telling people you're something or you're gay, you're lesbian. It's also coming out to yourself. You had to accept it yourself. You had to embrace it yourself, right?
Right.
I mean, what was the coming out experience like for you?
Well, I knew that, I was attracted to, my female classmates, my female teachers. My mom found a note in the piggy bank when I was 9 that I was saying, oh, Wilma Chen, my teacher, I will marry you when I grow up, when I have enough money. And my mom said, what the heck, And then whenever I'm sick from school, like when I was 12 or something, my mom said, oh my goodness, what are all these girls outside the door? I said, what girls? Where are the girls? Girls would stand, like there were 3, 4, 5 girls bringing the homework of the day to come and explain to me because I was sick, because I was super jockey. Just, I've always had crushes on girls. Girls had crushes on me. I went to an all-girls school. And I think at that time I realized that, yeah, the feelings I have for girls is way beyond platonic. So I knew that I like girls. That's the first step, is telling yourself, and I didn't deny it, but I also knew that in Singapore, this society, gay people are seen as, just, there's so much negative stereotypes of gay people, right? Child molesters, you name it, perverts,
Where is this again?
In Singapore.
In Singapore.
So I don't identify as that. I'm not that, so I don't have a community to go to. Then what do I do, So then I think there starts the planning to perhaps maybe there will either I will live in the closet or come out in another country. And I think being in the closet is not an option for me. It's just not an option for me.
And it was worth the sacrifice of moving away from your family that you were so close to. Like, what was going through your head? Like, you were like, I love my family, but I want to be myself. I can't have both.
I can't be happy in Singapore. If I'm not happy in Singapore, I think my parents would not be happy either. I can't. I do have friends who live in Singapore who are gay, but they're in their 40s and 50s and their parents don't know that about them.
Oh my gosh.
I can't live like that. I know that. Now, I'm not criticizing them because every life, every journey is, a personal one. They get to stay in Singapore and maybe they feel like it's worth it, I get to be out in the US and maybe they feel sad for me that I have to live apart from my family. So not one choice is better than the other. It's a choice that fits you. So because I have friends whose parents don't even know that they are gay, and then they have to listen to their siblings talk about their lives, their husbands, their children, and then they're like, they can't share their lives. I know I can't live like that. I just know because my family, we're very, very open with each other. we're very unique. Even my partner said, your family is so unique, because my father was a journalist and my mom's a teacher. We've always been very open, talking and chatting and checking in. I can't imagine living my life not letting my parents know that I'm gay. So so my father was actually the one who pushed me to come out. He wrote me a letter when I was 23 and in the US. He wrote me a letter in Chinese saying that he thinks I'm gay and he wants me to know this. I still have that letter. That if you are gay and if you are who you are and you are still the same daughter that I have, then I want you to change nothing. That letter gave me so much strength because once your parents accept you, no one else can attack you. When your parents have your back, no one else can attack you, and they can try, and you cannot be defeated because your parents have your back. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Which is why I feel so sad when I see parents not supporting their kids, because how do you expect your kids to go through life when the people who are fundamentally are supposed to love them unconditionally are not doing that? How are they building trust with other people for the rest of their life? How do they know that someone else is going to love them when their parents don't love them? So because my parents love me, I had to share. Then when I came out to my mom, is a completely different thing because I know my mom is loving and and kind, but I waited a long time to tell her. I waited till I was with my current wife now, when I was 30 years old, to tell her. I never wanted to tell her not because I know she's homophobic, but because I know she is going to be a typical parent where she's going to worry about my safety. And my dad asked me to promise him, don't tell mom yet, because she's going to worry and worry and worry. It's not homophobia. It's not. So I tell a lot of young people now, when you come out to your parents, don't expect your parents to freaking hang the fucking rainbow flag on their wall. It ain't going to happen. Because it took you maybe 3-4 years, even 10 years to come out. Give them some time to also come around. You didn't come out overnight. Neither can they accept you overnight. Let them also sit with the idea, sit with the reality. And when they say, what? Why? How? It may not be homophobia. It may be just because they're worried about you. They're worried what the society is going to do to you. They're worried that, is it going to be safe? Are they going to be attacked? Will they lose their job? Oh my God, how will the neighbors look at them? A parent's job is to worry for their children. So don't see the immediate, just because they don't stand up and say, oh honey, I love you no matter what. Just because they don't do that doesn't mean they don't love you. And just because they don't immediately say, we're fine with you, doesn't mean that they don't love you. They may want to take some time, okay? So when I told my mom I'm out when I was 30, I'm with my current partner now, I was telling my mom that she's a very funny woman. So I said, Mom, there's something I want to tell you. She goes, yeah. I just want you to know that I don't think I'll ever marry a man. I think I like women and I think I'll be with a woman. Oh, that's fine, honey. We're not that kind of family. You know that. Mom, I want you to know that the woman I'm with is not Chinese because all my siblings are with Chinese. Yeah. She's Indian. Oh my goodness. We welcome anyone you bring home. You know that we're like that. Yeah. And Mom, I want to tell you something. What? She's a vegetarian. What the fuck did I do to you in my past life? She lost it. She fucking lost it. The vegetarian part, she lost it. She's like, how the fuck are we going to get along with her? We're a meat-eating family. We're Chinese. We eat everything with legs except the table. You bring home a fucking vegetarian. How are we going to accept her into our lives? So that's my mom. She's so funny. But that's truly how she felt. She's truly how she felt. That was the hardest part for her. And then she's like, oh, we'll get over it. It's not the gay part. It's not an Indian part. It's the vegetarian part that threw her off. But now, look at my mom. She makes a full feast for my partner every time she comes to Singapore. She puts a basket of ingredients to prove that it's all vegetarian. Oh. That's my mom. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm lucky.
I mean, that's so funny. But
yeah.
That's also so great,
She's
and obviously,
woman.
Going back to what you said, right? It's like, not just coming out. I think this goes for everything, right? When you tell your parents something that you feel really deeply about, they don't expect them to like just say yes, right? Like, and questioning doesn't mean they're against it, which is very key, and which you just taught me. Because whenever people question you, they think that they don't support you, but actually, what you're saying is that's not the case. What the case is they're actually worried for you, and they want to support you, and they want to find out
What can they do too?
everything, exactly everything there is to know, so they can support you in the best way possible, right? Because at the end of the day, your parents want you to have the life that you deserve, that you fulfill, right?
You would like to think that most parents want that for their kids,
I mean, we can't speak for all, obviously,
Of
and
course
that's
not.
pretty sad. But like you said, right? When people question you, it doesn't always mean that they're against you.
Exactly. They're just trying to figure it themselves. They're figuring things out for themselves, And I think we need to give them the space to do that. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like when you came out, right? Like, was there any like conflict between not just your parents but your sisters or your extended family, or were there any did any relationships, not even conflict, did any relationships change for the better, for the worse?
So I have two older sisters. They are 7 and 5 years older than me. And when I got married in Canada, my two sisters, even though they're very loving towards Lina, they don't talk about converting, or they don't preach about their religion. It was very obvious that they were not fully behind us, because my sister said this to me, my older sister. She said, Xin-Feng, if I were to tell you that you have my blessing, it's almost as though I'm giving my blessing to an alcoholic, giving beer to the alcoholic. That I was so hurt that she would see me like that I have an addiction, a disease, which is very legitimate. Alcoholism is a disease. It's a medical condition. That she will see me as someone she thinks has a medical condition, being gay. And it hurt me so much that I almost canceled my wedding, because I'm very, very close to my two sisters. And it took me a few days of crying and processing with my partner. And then I picked up the phone and I talked to both of them. I said, Ying, Lei, that's their names. I said, because they are born again Christian, so they have a specific, very set ways of viewing
Living.
Same-sex marriages, right? I said, you were my sisters first before you became a Christian. I want you to be my sister again. I want you to be my sister first. Now, I need you to be my sister. I want my sisters back. And I think that turned them around, something that I said. Straight from my heart. Straight from my heart. I wasn't going to give them a speech about gay rights. Sometimes I get really turned off by this. It's my right. Don't go there first. Go somewhere intimate. When people say, oh, why do you want to have children? I hear gay people say, hey, it's my right to have children. Yeah, I know it's your right. But why not say something also intimate? Like, I've always wanted to be a mom. I'm not sure, and I want to experience the joy of motherhood. That's why I want to be a child. I want to be a mom. I want to have a child. So I went there. I said, I want you to be my sister. And they turned around. They designed my wedding suit, They designed my...
You wore a suit?
I wore a Indonesian suit. It's...
kind of like a kurta?
Yeah, correct, yeah. And then they're both artists. They designed all my wedding cards, and they sent my father to the U.S. They paid for him and all that. And I would have to say that the wedding was an amazing event. They turned, because in a way I had their blessings. Would I have gone ahead and get married without their blessings? Yes, because this is my life after all. But with them behind my back, it was just, it was an amazing, event. The fact that my father could come, and be at the wedding, and my best friends from all over the world came. Yeah, so I felt like it was one of the most memorable times of my life. Yeah, the wedding.
I mean, like, Did you? I mean, what are your relationships with your sisters like now? You know.
We're very close. They come see me every few years. I come back to Singapore at least once a year, and when we're together, we're very enmeshed. We're just like, ugh, there's no personal alone time. It's like in your face, you know. We're always together, and I think my second sister is still very very much held back because
Your
of
middle.
my middle sister, my second older sister.
Yeah.
And I used to think that it's because she doesn't love me. And I realized it's not. I have to compartmentalize it. Just because she has a hard time introducing me to her friends, okay, doesn't mean she doesn't love me. It's her inability to deal with explaining to her friends about me. It's nothing to do with whether she loves me or not. I used to think that, oh my God, you know, I felt so hurt. She doesn't love me. She doesn't introduce me to her friends, her colleagues, and everything. And I realized, no, of course she loves me. How can I say she doesn't love me? She would do anything for me. Her separating me from her friends and her, you know, work friends, it's only because she is unable to reconcile with being Christian, you know, and having a gay sister.
I mean, like you said, right? It goes back to the point of whole like when you come out to people, they also have to accept and embrace you, but it's also them coming out.
Yeah. And
And
she's having a
you
hard time
can't
coming out.
and you can't really force that
I
on
can't.
anyone.
I can't.
It's like
It's
me.
not fair.
It's like your dad. Instead of sending a letter saying if you are gay, you're fine. You know, like we accept it for who you are. It would have been worse if he said, "Come out now, come out now. You have to do it right." Like that wouldn't have been it,
No, you
right?
come out in your own pace, at your own pace.
And I think that's something I've realized through this conversation so far. It's like when people come out, it's not just them coming out, it's their family, their loved ones.
Absolutely.
They have to accept, they have to come out to themselves, they have to accept it themselves, and then they have to express it to the people they know, right? I mean, that must also be hard for everybody, right? I mean,
Yeah. You know, when after we got married, we had a very lovely photo album which my partner's parents brought to India
okay.
to show all the relatives who did not come to our wedding, who were not invited because we had a small 50 people wedding. What the mom did, having that full album showing all the relatives, is saying, we are behind this. So I would not tolerate any
Backlash.
gossip, backlash, criticism. I will not. Again, she's showing them that we have our daughters back.
Totally
Facts.
does, does it?
Yeah. So, which is an amazing thing. We're both very lucky to have both sets of parents, you know,
Behind your
behind,
back.
yeah, which is great. Yeah. I think it's important when your parents love you like that. There's nothing you can't do in the world. There's really nothing you can't do. There's no adversity you can't face.
I mean, exactly. Like when your parents have your back, it's almost like saying, like when you're a kid, your parents are your world, and as you get older, it's not so much, but it's still there. The majority of whose opinion you want of, like whose approval you want, right? Like it's your parents 50% of the time, right? Anybody can give you approval, but if your parents do, it means they got your back and they're behind you.
Yeah, it gives you a sort of a, you know, just confidence, swag, I want to say.
So, like,
Although there are many people who don't have their parents' approval, and that it does not mean that they should continue to do what they believe is right. I don't mean to say that at all. You know, I think it would be a bonus if your parents, you know, support your decision to do something not mainstream, like want to be a shoe designer instead of an accountant, you know, want to be like a, I don't know, DJ instead of a doctor, you know. I feel like people should let people live and and know that, listen, you want to be this, know exactly what it means, okay, and do it, and I support you, you know. I think parents, it would be lovely for every parent, but we're not in that kind of utopia where parents are going to do that.
Yeah.
I think I tell kids, you know, if you want to come out, your parents, you know that your parents are homophobic, you want to come out, you have to plan for it. You know, you think they'll kick you out, you got to plan for it. You know, you can't, it's not something to do so impulsively, you know.
like wake up one day and be like, today's the day. Let's just do it. You know, it's
I just feel like you need to have, I think a lot of people don't have the luxury of saying, I'm going to come out and everything is going to be the same. I don't think we should be so gullible. I tell people, if you're 17 years old, you want to come out, you have one more year, you feel like your parents are going to kick you out. Is there a way for you to find a supportive network of friends? Is there an aunt that you can talk to? You feel like you need to tell them. Go and brainstorm with an adult that you trust to see how you can do this, safely for yourself and till you leave the home, that kind of thing. So I think just like every important decision in life, right, you need to have a plan. You don't just impulsively say, hey, guys, Think about it. Consult with someone you trust. Talk about it.
I mean, yeah. But like going back to your wedding, right? I'm jumping way back about you had a small 50-person wedding, right? Were there, because of like people being homophobic and people not accepting or embracing, right? Were there struggles with you and your partner inviting certain people?
No.
Like, were you like, no, we shouldn't have this person at the wedding?
No. It was already almost full because we have such a big network of friends.
Yeah.
So that was easy to fill the 50 people. And then mom and dad, pick their friends, who live in Canada and India, Singapore. So it was not difficult at all. And I have, if I'm going to go have a gay wedding, I'm not going to be inviting, people I don't think is going to come and have a good time and support us. I think that would kind of ruin the spirit of the wedding. Yeah. It was just amazing to see my father and my father-in-law get along too. That's just looking back.
And I think we just had to remember that this is, although it's for a gay wedding, but it's also just a wedding, Like in any wedding, you want your
a lot of people say, it's not a gay wedding, it's just a wedding,
Yeah, it's like, that's like, what I'm saying? I'm not taking away the fact that it was much more harder, but like, at the end of the day, that's not all you take away from your wedding. Your in-laws getting along, your family's meeting, it's a whole... It's a wedding,
Yeah, it's just a wedding. It's
not like a special thing for like handicapped people, like a wheelchair parking service, It's a wedding. It's what you would do. You have a cake. Yeah.
We had that, yes.
Yeah. Was the cake good?
It was. Do we have a cake? Oh, yeah, somebody baked a cake. What was great was just seeing my parents, both of them, and the in-laws trying to fight for the bills.
Oh, my God. Is that where you got it from?
Huh?
You won't let me pay for anything. Can we talk about this right now?
You're my nephew. I saw you grow up. Why would you pay for anything? That's ridiculous,
Yeah, I know.
So, Manav, do I get to ask Manav some questions? Because I love this guy so much. And as a therapist, I feel uncomfortable answering so many questions. I'm usually the person who asks questions,
Yeah.
And I love this guy so much, that I don't know whether... Is this all about your guests, or do I get to ask you questions too?
Go ahead. What do you have to ask?
I've always wanted to ask you, do you feel, how would I say this? You were born and raised till how old were you when you moved here?
3, 4.
3 or 4. But you go back to the U.S. so regularly, at least once a year? Once every 2 years?
Yeah.
And spend quite a few weeks, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you would be happier in the U.S., let's say, because of cerebral palsy? Do you ever feel that? Or do you feel like, no, this is the right place for me? Nepal is my home.
I always felt this way as a young child, I was like, why am I not in America? I could have access to some of the, like the most up-to-date technology which will help me keep up in class. It will give me good support system. I'll be able to build a community right now. But I feel like as I got older, especially once I found Akash Sai and the gym, right? Like, oh, he's recording this, ironic. But like, once I found that, I was like, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought. I'm accepted, I'm embraced, I'm loved, like you said, right? And I think that's all that matters, keeping up in school. Yes, it's important. And yes, I try my best, right? But at the end of the day, I'm loved. I have a community in my family, out of my family. And I have a support system, and I have people that I can talk to about different things. And at the end of the day, honestly, I'm a very simple person, and that's all I need.
And also understanding that your parents' intention of bringing you back here is so that you can be surrounded by family and love.
Yes.
Right? It's not as though, we're coming back here because Google wanted me to be at Nepal, It's not those kind of opportunities that led them back. It's because they wanted you to be nurtured and loved by family.
And I am
you have
so
that.
grateful. I'm so grateful. I've been so close to my cousins. They all accept me. Whenever we go to parties, there's always a buffet. And I struggle to eat in a buffet without hesitation. Sometimes they won't even ask. They'll pick up their plate and they'll put like a lot of food on it, and I'll be like, Didi is his older sister. How are you gonna eat all this food? And she's like, well, you want me to feed you, right? And they just feed me, and it's like
they're always thinking about you.
Yeah, I know. And it's like when people ask me, well, how do you know people love you? That's how you know, right? Like when people wonder, how do you know if someone loved you? It's not because they say, Manav, I love you.
They do things
They
for you.
do things that show that they care about you and they love you. And
Right.
that is why I'm so grateful that I'm here.
And they don't do things for you for you to be, for them. They're not doing you a favor.
Yes.
They're not wanting something back from you. They're doing something so intimate, like, hey, here, this is to make things easier, and I'm thinking about you. I think that I'm being thoughtful.
Yeah.
I'm being intentional about you.
Once again, but I still it's almost like what you went through. I still do struggle, right? People are like, oh, what? Even my own family, my distant family, they're like, oh, why are you being fed? You're 15, you're older, you're supposed to be on your own, right? And there are always people like that, right? There was one experience I hated so much, but there was a family reunion, like a family puja. We all sat down to do this religion, right? And we were all praying, and I spilled a bit of the puffed rice I think we were using to pray with, and I picked it all up, and there were some two old ladies, my family beside me, right? And they were like, oh, what happened? And I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. I just shake. This is how I am. It's okay. It's fine. So then we were praying, and then a few seconds later, they told me straight to my face. Both of them, they were like, you know what? You should pray to God that they fix your hand. I was like, what the fuck? I don't need fixing, I'm fine. And like that really hurt, and I feel like that happened, and it was
that you should be fixed so that you can be the same as other people.
Yeah,
so you don't do things like that.
I don't need fixing. I'm fine.
Not at all.
Exactly. So I think there are always struggles in Nepal. It's more conservative, but the benefit of having such a loving, close network of family and friends makes it all worth it.
That's great. And I always worry, because I think about you a lot. Because I watched Manav grow up before he moved. It broke our hearts that they moved because we were so close, right?
We lived in the same town.
And we always see each other. I was close to Manav's grandparents who lived in near us too. Every birthdays, right? Every celebration, we're always together. And when they moved to Nepal, I think I was very worried as a social worker then that, oh my goodness, I wonder if he's going to have to fight people's stereotypes and myths about people living with cerebral palsy, right? Like, are people going to think that, Manav is not intelligent because he's so smart? I get angry, because again, like I said, remember we talk about the blind spot and the bubble of gay. If you don't know gay people, why would you be interested in their culture, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know people living with cerebral palsy, right? Because I would say that a lot of conservative countries, I don't know if Nepal is...
You know what it is? It's what really frustrates me right now, and what I really hope to do through the gym and through this podcast is a lot of people, when they get born with a physical and sometimes even a mental condition, straight to the hospital. And they live there. And that's just really upsetting.
Well, not... So straight to the hospital, I think, is even one step better than hiding them at home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just hiding them at home because the family may not have information or knowledge about how to treat them, or they're now. I don't normally like to use the word high functioning, because when you say high functioning, there's low functioning. Like someone with your capability, right? You are in the mainstream world. There are so many people with cerebral palsy that are not visible, because I wonder where they are. Where are they?
And through the gym and through the stuff, I want to show people that we're not somebody that needs to be kept at home.
No, not at all.
Or be in a hospital and helped. Yes, we do need support, but we all do. We're all human. We all need support. We just need support with different things. And we can all do stuff. And I've broken so many barriers, even with my parents, even with myself. Like, for example, my dad, like, he wasn't against me in any way or didn't believe in me. He just was worried about me, and he never thought I would be able to jump, right? Now I'm jumping, I'm lifting weights, I'm doing all this stuff. Lifting weights, something I never thought would be even remotely possible for me. And I'm doing it.
And it's changed your physical, the way you carry yourself. Do you know that? Before, when I saw you in 2023, you came
2020.
2020? Yeah.
2021, I think.
You were, the way you were walking had a lot, you were swaying more.
Yeah.
And you had a little bit of hunchback. Now you don't have that. I mean, you were, you look like a person who works out. When you work out, it shows. When you don't work out, it also shows here in my fat. But when you work out, it shows. It shows the way you carry yourself. And we all of it, we saw like, did you guys see Manu? Look at the way he carries himself, the way he's walking. He's so confident now. And it's lovely. But I also don't want to romanticize disabilities. There are people who can't do that. They really can't.
Yeah.
You can't say that everyone with cerebral palsy can do what you do, Manu.
Yeah.
Because yours is mild
mild,
symptoms.
and I'm very grateful for that.
I just don't like it when people think of cerebral palsy and they think that you're intellectually, you have an intellectual disability, where it's obvious it's obvious it has nothing. It can, but it also it's not always the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's obvious you have above average intelligence. I just don't know I was worried about what you'll be fighting in this society. You know.
And here I am fighting it. You know, like, people question my physical ability sometimes, or subconsciously I prove that wrong through the gym. And now with the intellectual stuff, I really hope that I'm proving it wrong through this podcast.
But Manav, I want to find out from you though, when you're doing all this fighting, I worry about it being, this journey is it full of rage and anger? I think rage and anger is healthy when it's a healthy dose, you know?
Yeah.
Because it can give you the charge, right? But I just don't want it to consume you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like me being gay, I don't want to be angry with everyone. You know, no, I don't want that. Yeah. This is my life. You know, I will do what I need to do to dispel myths and it's not my job to educate people, but to, you know, have conversations. Yeah, you know, it's still, if I don't feel like having conversation, it's not my job. It's your job to educate yourself, right? Yeah. Manav, do you feel like, was there a point in your life when you feel like this anger, you know, it's unhealthy? Do you feel like, or you don't feel that way?
I don't feel like my anger was ever unhealthy with other people.
Okay.
I feel like I had a lot of anger towards myself. I had anger towards, because no one really comes up to your face and says it, you know, and when they do, it's very rare. And yes, it hurts you, but once again, little doses of anger are good, right? But I think a lot of unhealthy anger that I had was with myself. Not with my parents, not with anybody, but with myself. And I don't really believe in God, per se, but I do believe in a higher being, that somebody creates us. And I was like, why have you made me like this? You know, like, what did I do to deserve this? You know, like, I want to be able to, you know, like, and I always wondered through the gym, yes, I'm so happy I've achieved this much. It's like, being able to lift this much weight, it's great. But I always wonder, I'm like, if I wasn't disabled, if I wasn't like this, how much weight would I be able to lift? What else would I be able to do, you know? It always hurts me so much, especially when I went on this run, right? This run, even though it was only 7 kilometers, it meant so much to me, right? And throughout the run, I was like, what am I doing? I can't even walk properly sometimes. What am I doing climbing on a trail, jumping gaps? Like, am I crazy? Like, people are already returning. People on the trail were telling me, hey, just return now, it's fine, I want you to be safe. It wasn't coming from...
But you didn't. Right?
But I didn't. I made it all the way to the end, and then I returned. Because I knew that I wanted to show those people that, like, ran the healthy doses of anger, that they were like, they were not discouraging me. but they were just concerned for me, right?
They will care.
It was coming from a place of care and love.
Yeah.
And
Safety.
yeah, and they were like, I want you to be safe. Are you okay? I don't want you to fall or anything, right? And those, although I had to tell myself, I was like, they are not discouraging me. They are just concerned for me, right? They're concerned for my safety, my well-being. But I made it to the end, and I showed those people that anything is really possible, and I really hoped from that day, I don't care about the medal or the, the completion shirt or anything. All I care is that I hope one person over there saw me, and they were like, damn, anything is possible.
And Manav, what if you didn't finish the race? What do you think that what is the message though? Why would it be so unthinkable if you didn't finish the race?
I mean, if I didn't finish the race, I still got out of bed. I still did it. I still trained for it.
Yes, you trained for it. You have the determination to want to participate in it. I think, I don't mean to be condescending. A lot of people don't even do that. I'm sorry. Don't even have that will, or that discipline to train. I think what the message I have for you is the message I want to have for myself, is just to be kind to ourselves. We are not here to solve everyone's stereotypes about us, okay? We have to take care of ourselves so that we can have love, right? Healthy dosage of love for the people around us, right? 'Cause we can't live life feeling that life needs to be fair, because sometimes life is not fair. And we have to, that's just the reality. And how do we live, with that understanding, that life is sometimes not fair. What can we do? I'll tell you this. I have a nephew who is like the top 1% of India. He went to London School of Economics, then went to Harvard for MBA. Doesn't have to work a day in his life for generations to come. Why is he so motivated, this guy? Why? He doesn't have to work at all. Okay, he could have gone into his father's line of work, get an undergrad somewhere in India and still be,
well off.
Well off, right? So I asked him, his name is also Akash. I call him AA Cash. His rap name is like AA Cash, I said, Akash, can I ask you what motivates you to be who you are? And he says this, okay? I just want to, what did he say? I want to make the best of what life has given me. Something so simple. I want to make the best of what life has given me. So life has given him wealth, intelligence, access. He made the best of it. He teaches people how to apply to schools, colleges, and all that. Volunteer. He just wants to make his life full. That's it. So I asked myself too, what? Here I am, this queer woman, right? Who couldn't live in her own country, living here. How do I make the best of my circumstances? Do I sit around and just be like, God damn it, motherfucker, what if I'm straight? Shit, I should be in Singapore. Fuck these people, looking at me that way and looking at my family that way, not accepting my family, thinking that I'm a man and all that. I could live like that. I could. But guess what? They say that it's wanting someone to die while you're drinking the poison. You're actually drinking the poison, wishing that someone else would die. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I guess I hope that people like us would find joy in life, given the circumstances, of our situation. Is to find joy. Just like my father at my wedding gave a speech. Not everyone cried in that wedding because of my father's speech. He said this. He stood up and he said this. He had a speech, and the last paragraph was this. He said, now, when my daughter came to the US, I had 3 conditions for her. I wanted her to promise me 3 things. 1 is to exercise personal responsibility towards herself and to the people in her family, around her, immediate people, immediate community, family. 2 is to be an active member of a community, to contribute, to the community in a positive way. And he said this, today, as I'm standing here watching her sitting so happily next to my daughter-in-law, Lina, I finally witnessed her fulfilling my third condition for her, which is to pursue personal happiness. Manav, we can talk all about politics, change the world, do this, change people's mindset. But Manav, our personal happiness is equally important, if not more important. Don't forget that. Have joy. I always remind myself, have joy in life. Because all those things, it's never ending. Work is never ending. No one, this is never going to be utopia. Never ending. But joy, I am responsible for. I want to attain that for myself. That's something that I can easily attain for myself if I put my mind to it.
I mean, exactly, right? I mean, now you have a beautiful family and you're fulfilled, you know, all three of your father's wishes, you know, to the highest level. I mean, obviously, right, with like being a lesbian couple, you can't have kids with each other, right? I mean, like,
Shit, no.
oh no.
But we did try. We found she has a Chinese donor and I have an Indian donor, so that our kids will look, you know,
Kinda
half
like-
Chinese, half Indian. Yeah.
Could
like
you
us.
move the mic a bit closer? Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, what's the experience of a sperm donor? Like, you know, what is the process? What are the struggles? You know, like, do you meet the person? Do you have a connection with them? You know?
So I went to the cryo bank for my sperm donor. I wanted an Indian sperm donor to reflect my partner, and so I chose an open donor, meaning that when my son is 21, he can go ahead and ask the sperm bank for his contact information, and they can meet each other. There weren't a lot of Indian open donors. So I think I was given 9, and out of them, 3 were open donors. And out of the 3, I got to listen to their interviews and their answers to certain standard questions. Immediately, the one that I chose was the one that I knew, I want this as my sperm donor because he's very interesting. He wasn't narcissistic. The other 2 were like, oh, you know, as a doctor or surgeon or as a lawyer, you know, I'm very successful in my life. I'm thinking about how I can help the world. He wasn't there. This guy, he was very humble, and he has a degree. He's a South Asian guy, Indian guy. He grew up in the U.S. and his major was African American studies. I thought that's very interesting. That's very interesting. That's very different. He's fluent in Spanish, and I especially love the question when they ask all the donors, "What would you like to say to this family that you're helping?" And he said, and all of them had some very cerebral answers, you know, standard. And he said this, he goes, this is so surreal. But I want to tell the kid that I'm helping, you know, create, I want to tell you that I don't know you, but I love you already. I don't know why it just moved me so much that this is such a kind of loving person. I don't know you, but I love you already. Yeah, he's very intentional. He's very kind.
He's not just, you know,
Yeah,
trying to
he's
make
not-
money off his. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure all of them are looking for an income, you know, to do this. Let's be real, but there was something else for him, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, Rish asks about who his donor is all the time, and in our household,
Rish is her son.
our son, he's 9 now. And nothing in our family is really off the table, the topic, because I feel like if kids have questions, they
Have
need
the
to
right
ask
to
it.
ask.
They need to ask it. And we can say developmentally, are you ready for this answer? Maybe not. We'll shelve it. We'll give them a developmentally appropriate answer. Rich always asks about his donor, and this I say, yeah, when you're 21, da, da, da. And then I show him the donor's photos. They give us photos and all his favorite music and movies. I said, do you want to go see this movie because your donor likes this movie? You know, things like that, so that it doesn't make him frustrated. You know, things are in secret and he doesn't know and he gets frustrated. I want it to be very open. So that's 21 years old. Let's see if he wants to go find his donor. I'm all for it. If he doesn't want to, that's where he's at, and I will be supportive of him.
I mean, obviously, there's so many different ways of having a kid when you're infertile, right? What made you choose sperm donors? Why not adoption or something else?
So I'll be real with you. Because I used to work for the Child Protective Services, and I understand the complications of adopting from the foster care system. And so my partner and I thought, there are two wombs. We have eggs. You know, it's not coming from a selfish, narcissistic, angle like, oh, we want to see our your own blood, in our children. We want to have children who are biologically connected to us. No, it's not that at all. I think I didn't want to deal with the heartbreak of loving a foster child and losing the foster child. I think I get very, very attached, very attached. Like I would see a stray dog right now, 10 of them, I'll take them home. And I think that it will be very, very hard for me. And
it'd be hard for anyone, but
it's very
especially
hard.
for someone
It's
like
very
you.
hard. And I think Lina and I talked about this. We think that it's the one thing that we're both on the same page around is to, if we adopt, maybe we can adopt from India, Singapore, but we knew it was going to be very expensive and a very long process. And so we went with what fits our family, is to just give birth to our biological child.
And how did this work? Were you like, you had to give birth, you went through labor, right? Okay.
Yeah, so we picked a sperm donor, and then they FedEx the sperm to us. We had a nurse come to our house, clean up the sperm, inject it through a special needle. It's called IUI. I didn't do IVF. I didn't have to. IVF is way more complicated. You have to take medication, inject medication, inject.
You had to take the ovaries out.
No,
not
I didn't have to do
ovaries,
any of
the
that.
eggs out, right?
So that's IVF. I didn't have to do that. IUI is the simplest way, much more simpler than IVF, and much more cheaper. And I thought for sure that I would not be able to get pregnant because I was already 42 years old, and my gynecologist told me that I have a 6% chance of getting pregnant. So I told my partner, I said, I don't want to be one of those couples that keep trying year after year and they're never happy. They fight and they're like never living in the present. I said, let's say plop down 20,000 or 10,000. Well, I think it was 17,000. We gave it a number. Can't get pregnant. That's it. I got pregnant the first time.
Oh my gosh.
I'm further middle. Yeah, I got pregnant the first time. So I was very, 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 very fortunate. Yeah.
And now you have a
2
beautiful.
kids. I have one 15-year-old girl and one 9-year-old boy.
And your 9-year-old boy is just beautiful.
He is. He's the pain in the ass.
Amazing, but quite obnoxious.
Oh my
He
God.
wanted to come to this recording. Could you imagine?
He would play with all the buttons. I don't know.
He would stay quiet, but he would still break everything. Somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow.
He has a lot of energy. He really is. But he's also very sweet.
He's so
he
sweet.
is in love with Manav.
And I love him to death.
That's what Manav, you're so different with him. You're so kind to him. Like, I just get so impatient. And Manav, like, it's okay, Ayi. It's fine. I got him, Oh, he can do that. It's fine. Like, he would go near Manav and, like, mess with him. I said, Rish, please give Manav some space. Manav would turn to me and say, it's okay, Ayi. Just it takes a special soul to be kind to a tornado kid. You know what I'm saying? So,
I love your son, and he's amazing, right? But the one thing I do wonder about with your family, even with your daughter, not just your son, is the absence of a father figure. Because having a mother is important.
Sure.
But it's equally important to also have a father figure, right? How do you feel that role?
I don't know if I would say it's important to have a father figure, because lots of single women do it without a male partner. And, look at Obama, right? Clinton even, right? I'm not saying that these presidents are the standards, but lots of children grow up in an environment with a single mom and turn out to be great.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have a male presence.
Yeah.
Male presence. So we have mamas, we have neighbors, good friends who are in his life.
Okay.
We have a ton of male friends whom we see every weekend, who are people that I would pick because they're already lovely people to spend time with him.
Okay.
So one time he actually asked Juan, our friend, said, hey Juan, Uncle Juan, did you have a father growing up? Uncle Juan he's such a wonderful guy. He turned to him and said, Rish, are your moms giving you everything that you need? He says, yeah, well, that's the answer. What else do you need? And he said that I grew up without a father. He told Rich that, and I think, and I had everything I needed from my mom and my grandmother. I think we need to demystify that you need a father or mother. I think two gay men can raise a wonderful child with female presence in their life. Two women can raise a wonderful child with male presence in their life. People, like what you said, you make the best of what life has given you. Exactly. That's just the bottom line.
And exactly, I mean, I always thought that a father figure was always a necessity in life, but clearly not. I mean, Rish is awesome. He's great.
I tell Rish,
so
instead of one father, one mother, you have two moms. That's just the reality. That's just the reality.
And you got this, and now you're gonna work with it, and he's gonna turn out great. He's gonna go.
He's a good guy.
He's gonna become the first. He's gonna
go through his tornado phase.
He's gonna become the first Indian basketball player. I'm calling it right now.
He's not actually the first Indian NBA player.
Who?
Have you seen the documentary on Netflix? This Punjabi guy from a village came to the U.S. Texas for high school, trained as a basketball player. I think he was very briefly playing the NBA. Ashok is his name. He very briefly. Yeah. Giant guy. I think this was like 7'2" or something like that.
Rich is gonna be massive.
I just want him to be happy. We all want our kids to be. Huh? Is it? Was he in NBA briefly?
Yeah.
He didn't do very well, but he was in. Yeah.
What
it's
team
a really
do you
good
play for?
Documentary.
The first Indian-born player drafted by an NBA team. Never realized his dream of playing in a league. Now he's living in New York and dunking all the kids. This is 2022 news.
It's a good documentary. He didn't speak English at all. And he was very shy. Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
I remember now. I've seen a small guy.
And he's so sweet. He goes, I just want to help my family out, He said, I want to come to the U.S. I want to send money home. So sweet. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked so much. I don't know how long we've talked. How long do you think we've talked for? Like, 1 hour and 20 minutes. No way. Wait. That's amazing.
That's connection.
That's connection. Well, a few wrap-up questions, to bring this whole thing together, right? Obviously, Nepal is a very conservative country, right? What advice would you have for the youth, especially young Nepali kids, about coming out?
Boy, that's a hard one. Like I said, every coming out story and experience is so personalized, it's just so personal. I really think it's important for you to find a community of people that you trust first. Is there a sister that you can talk to first? Is there a cousin that you feel will understand you? Is there a buddy? Talk to someone. I don't know the cultural therapy is common here. Is there a teacher that you think you can go to and just kind of talk? Is there literature that you can access to figure things out? I think I always say this: safety overrides everything. Safety overrides everything. People always say, "Oh, Mom, you're in my TikTok. You know my TikTok account. You know my account name and my password. You know this." I said, Ayan, your safety overrides privacy for me. Okay, that's the most important thing. So I want people to focus on being authentic, being genuine, wanting to come out, but I also want them to think about safety. Okay, is to find someone that you can trust, explore, what it means to come out. What do you want? Are you looking to date? Are you old enough to date? Do you want to go to a gay nightclub? Are you old enough? Who's going to take you there? All these little things may seem kind of frivolous to think about, but it's not. It's not. I want people to have a positive experience coming out, and not everyone can have that, right? There's always something so courageous, something so important, something so monumental will always come with risk. I want you to minimize your risk. I want you to be patient with yourself. I don't want you to think that you're coming out at 15 and you're going to get married at 20 and have that family that you see on TV. It may happen. It probably won't. I don't want you to get married so early. I just want you to be in the company of good people. I think that's the bottom line, is to have and meet and Be in the company of good people as much as you want. And when you feel safe talking to one parent, know the consequences of what that conversation may turn out to be. And not lose it, I feel, And I just want to say you're very brave to want to attempt to come out. I think it's very brave. You want to be authentic and genuine and live a full life. I think it's very brave. I think things do get better as you get older. When you have a job and education, you have more opportunities. People say money doesn't buy happiness. It absolutely does not. But it does come with more opportunities for you to make more choices. Not limited ones, but more choices. It gives you more choices in life to make. Maybe you can leave the country. Maybe you want to live here. I'm sure there is an underground gay community here, once again, network, and I think that's what I can say. Yeah.
Okay, and then a fun question. How are you celebrating Pride Month?
Oh, I don't know. I'm celebrating the whole month of June in Asia.
Nice.
In Asia, in Singapore, Nepal, and in India. So I think it itself that I can celebrate with my family. Traveling for 5 weeks is a celebration of Pride, with my whole family. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
And anything else you would like to add? Any message? Anything?
If you are looking for a boyfriend, the one on
what?
the left.
No. Okay, we cut it here.
The most eligible 15-year-old I know. Look at him. Look at his face.
We're done.
Mano.
We're done.
I had hoped that my daughter would end up with you, but anyway.
I'm so glad
Good guy. Mano.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on. This has been episode 9.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and
Mano.
I will see you. Well, hopefully.
At home, we're having Japanese dinner at home.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
Pork cutlet, bento box.
Let's turn off the camera. Let's go
Let's
now.
go.
Let's go.